It is not possible, and it will not happen, because Mr. Raila Odinga has no reason whatsoever.
Tumesema Ruto must go. Ruto? Wangapi wanasema Ruto must go? Nione kwa mkono.
Tumetoseka kutawaliwa vibaya na mkora asiosiba anafaa kuongezwa akagote kwa tumbo na simiti na mawe ndio atisikie njaa tena. Wangapi wanasema Kawira aende? Kawira mbae.
On 1st January 2023, many Kenyans were happy to usher in a new year. Little did they know that painful events would unfold.
Mkenya lazima awe na haki ya kuishi. Hakuna ruhusa ya kumuua mtu yoyote ama Mkenya yoyote. Leo nasikitika kuona vijana wetu, vijana zaidi ya 50 wakipigwa marisasi, wakiuawa, wamekuwa tortured. Ajabu ni kwamba wanaowapiga marisasi ni Wakenya wenzao.
Millions of Kenyans had expressed a lot of hope that President Ruto would lower the cost of living within his first 100 days in office by Kenya Kwanza's manifesto. At this time, the Azimio leadership led by Raila Amolo Odinga had put a halt to their political activities to allow Ruto's 100 days to lapse. This is not the first time. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta did the same in the year 2013.
We in the Jubilee have audaciously reimagined a brand new Kenya.
We have already made plans to start transforming Kenya from day one.
In the first 100 days of the Jubilee government, we will pass legislation to ensure that every Kenyan child under 18 years is either in school or a training institute.
With what started as People's Baraza.
Ujumbe kwa Ruto na serikali yake mbadia. Wacha wa Kenya wachukue ushukani kikatiba. Sisi hatutaharibu mali ya watu. Sisi ni watu wa amani. Wacha kuweka majabazi yako kuharibu mali ya watu, ndivyo utupatie sifa baya.
Former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga later rallied his supporters across the country for national anti-government protest on March 20th, 2023. This was referred to as Maandamano Monday. The Kenya Kwanza administration led by President William Samoei Ruto maintained its position to run the country's affairs without sharing government positions.
And we must tell my good friend Raila Odinga, you cannot, enough is enough. You cannot continue to blackmail the country. And we have no problem with you organized demonstration. But please, it is your responsibility to work with the police to make sure that the rest of the citizens of Kenya, their lives are not disrupted, their property is not destroyed, their business is not affected, they can go to work, you can carry out your demonstration.
Unfortunately, the peaceful intent of the protest was marred by incidents of violence. Some supporters deviated into looting and attacks on private property. In some parts of Nairobi like Mathare, Kibra, Kawangware, Azimio supporters came out in large numbers to support their leader, Raila Amolo Odinga. Efforts by law enforcement officers to prevent Raila Odinga from entering the central business district of Nairobi City faced criticism for the perceived use of excessive force, leading to few reported casualties. From the look of their eyes, it is inevitable to shed tears.
Na vinara wenzako, tunajua muliekewa target muweze kumalizwa. Lakini sisi Waislamu wa tunasema la ilaha illallah. Yani Mwenyezi Mungu ni mmoja na Mwenyezi Mungu ana uwezo na ana nguvu kuliko nguvu za wale binadamu ambao wamekuwa na kiburi.
The Azimio la Umoja organized nationwide mass requiem for anti-government casualties.
Considering the matters raised by our friends in the opposition, in these circumstances and in view of the recent events that led to loss of life and destruction of property in the demonstrations that have occasioned in our country for the last 2 weeks, I urge my brother Raila Odinga and the opposition to call off the demonstrations and to give this bipartisan approach a chance for us to take the country forward.
In response to the escalating situation, Raila Odinga decided to call off the protest, having twice skipped scheduled demonstrations.
We say that we are ready to embrace dialogue and that we will engage as long as Mr. Ruto and his team are ready to engage. We as Azimio are ready because we want a peaceful resolution to the differences that we are having in this country. We want to strengthen our democracy. We want our election to have meaning, that how Kenyans vote is actually what is eventually announced by the Electoral Commission.
Subsequently, the government and the opposition opted for a more diplomatic approach, engaging in a bipartisan talk to address and resolve the underlying issues. Now, when it comes to the bipartisan talks, after President William Ruto extended an invitation to Raila Odinga to discuss issues raised during Maandamano through a bipartisan approach, while the president wanted the discussions to be held in Parliament, Raila Odinga wanted the talks to be done outside the House, claiming that UDA had compromised most MPs by outrightly bribing them. The two parties agreed to form the National Dialogue Committee, co-chaired by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and Majority leader Kimani Ichung'wah. After a series of meetings and 1 or 2 deadlocks.
I've just told you that is continuing work, okay? Some of it, very good progress on security arrangements for all the leaders in the country, very good progress, yeah? So leave it to us to execute this mandate. We all need it. The Honorable Kioni, will be honest with you, I, as a team leader, had to check with Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, and he tells me absolutely, because Kioni is here, he's committed to the work of this committee. He gave us that assurance.
But what are the repercussions for the people who are speaking out there and in this committee?
We ignore.
Some, of course, are heavy. We have actually allowed the technical teams again to further unbundle, realign some of the issues that may not be in line with the express mandate of the committee.
And we have told you, we agreed in principle. Whatever happens in this room is what matters, and that's what we focus on. What people say outside there, we ignore, we press mute.
We will criticize them. Right?
NADCO presented its report to President Ruto and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who both agreed to recommend the adoption of the report.
Prevailed. We have placed Kenya above personal ambitions, recognizing that our people's unity and our nation's prosperity are paramount. Kenyans, through the stakeholder engagements, added their voices to what ails us as a nation.
Time for resolution of presidential election petitions. NADCO recommends the increase of timelines within which the Supreme Court shall hear and determine a petition challenging the validity of a presidential election from 14 days to 21 days.
However, a section of leaders from Azimio, including Martha Karua and Eugene Wamalwa, opposed some of the proposals and claimed that the committee did not address the most pressing issue, that is the cost of living.
We must be on the lookout, otherwise they may carry out backdoor amendments of the Constitution through Parliament. While concluding on the NADCO report, we want to say it has nothing to alleviate the suffering of citizens, but it offers goodies to the leadership. This is totally unacceptable. It is a fraud upon Kenyans. It should be frowned upon and totally rejected.
Another incident that took place in Kenya, the Kawira Mwangaza's impeachment. Now, Meru County Governor Kawira Mwangaza was the first county boss to face impeachment in 2023, following a failed attempt in 2022. The county chief, who ran on an independent ticket, found herself on the MCA's chopping board in what was the culmination of a protracted wrangles between her and them. During her first impeachment, the grounds given included nepotism, abuse of office, and gross misconduct. The main cause of the strife was because she allegedly refused to release development funds to MCAs. She was, however, saved by the Senate, and soon after, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua stepped in to try and mediate the conflict between the two warring sides. Barely 3 months after, a second motion to impeach her was filed at the County Assembly of Meru, where 80% of the House voted to send her packing. The motion was escalated to the Senate, where Kawira Mwangaza pleaded not guilty to all charges. She claimed she was a victim of bitter election rivals trying to oust her.
And they have been holding rallies almost in all towns in Meru, doing the same over the weekends. Honorable Speaker, I want to say this is purely politics. Purely politics.
Thank you.
The Senate blocked her impeachment for the second time.
Honorable Senators, the result of the division indicate that the Senate has not upheld any of the impeachment charges. Pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33(8) of the County Governments Act, and Standing Order 87 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate has failed to remove from office by impeachment Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County. And the Governor accordingly continues to hold office.
My name is Ojwang Odero, and this is Kenya Digital News.